Chosen one. Before you doubt why this found you, hear this. The very prayer you whispered when you thought no one was listening detonated in the unseen realm. It didn't echo softly. It struck with such force that the enemy recoiled, and even heaven paused, not in hesitation, but in recognition. You felt it afterward as that sudden stillness in your chest, that strange quiet that fell over your room, that moment where your thoughts stopped racing and you wondered, why does it feel like something just shifted? That wasn't imagination. That was response. You have been fighting battles no one clapped for, smiling in rooms where your name was being spoken with contempt, watching doors, close politely while knowing you carried the key. And the pain tied directly to this title. Your prayer scared the devil because you didn't pray like others do. You prayed from exhaustion, from betrayal, from a place where you were done explaining yourself to humans and spoke directly to God. That kind of prayer is dangerous. That kind of prayer does not beg. It summons. I am speaking to you as a divine protector because right now, from a vantage point you cannot see, there is movement around your life. Heavy movement. The air around you has felt thick lately, hasn't it? You wake up with pressure on your shoulders for no logical reason. Dreams have intensified, either unusually vivid or completely blocked. Conversations feel off. People interrupt you more. Plans stall at the last second. This is not coincidence. This is resistance responding to impact. The enemy only scrambles when something has already been authorized. Hear this carefully, because the enemy does not want this part understood. Your prayer did not just ask for relief. It exposed them. It named them without speaking their name. It carried authority you didn't even realize you had earned. And when that prayer rose, the devil recognized the frequency. He has heard it before from warriors who were about to be elevated publicly after long seasons of being hidden privately. That's why the counterattacks escalated immediately after. That's why misunderstandings multiplied. That's why you were suddenly painted as difficult, too much, or changed. That was strategy, not truth. You are the chosen one who had to learn silence before celebration. And this is where the title locks in. Even God paused to listen, not because heaven was unsure, but because what you prayed aligned perfectly with timing. You didn't pray early. You didn't pray late. You prayed at the exact moment when the scales were already tipping. Heaven paused because the order was being rewritten. And while heaven paused, the enemy panicked. Let me pull back the veil for a moment. I'm allowed to show you this now because your discernment has matured. From the enemy's perspective, your life looked contained, predictable, limited by lack of support, lack of money, lack of backing. They assumed fatigue would silence you. Isolation would dilute you. Delay would discourage you. But your prayer changed the battlefield. It wasn't loud, but it was lethal. It was the prayer of someone who had survived long enough to stop asking why and start declaring enough. Since then, you may have noticed subtle but infuriating blocks. Money delayed. Opportunities almost working out. Invitations that disappeared without explanation. This wasn't random bad luck. This was a containment attempt. Because what's coming to you isn't just relief, it's transfer. Status transfer. Influence transfer. Financial repositioning. The kind that happens in the presence of enemies who thought you were finished. That's why the pressure increased right before the breakthrough. That's why the gossip intensified. That's why certain people suddenly tried to reinsert themselves into your life with fake concern. Wait, don't drift here. The enemy really doesn't want you to hear this. Next instruction. Your prayer scared the devil because it activated a protection protocol around your life. But protection requires obedience. And the obedience tied to this title is not more effort, it is restraint, silence, strategic quiet. Not explaining yourself, not correcting every lie, not proving your worth. God paused to listen because He is about to speak for you. And when God speaks, He does it in ways humans cannot argue with through sudden reversals, undeniable favor, and public clarity that no defense could manufacture. Think back to this week. There was a moment, maybe small, where you felt the urge to speak up, to defend yourself, to expose someone. And something in you hesitated. That hesitation wasn't fear. That was instruction. Because the very people trying to undermine you are about to be seated to watch your elevation. And the table is already prepared. The delay you're experiencing is not denial, it's staging. I'm going to say something that will land sharply, but you're ready now. Some of the people closest to you benefited from you staying small. Your struggle made them comfortable. Your silence made them bold. And when your prayer broke containment, they felt the shift before you did. That's why attitudes changed. That's why support vanished. That's why subtle competition turned hostile. But hear me, none of them can stop what's already in motion. They can only reveal themselves in the process. God is telling me to pause here, because this next part is where many chosen ones miss it. The devil was not scared because you asked for blessings. He was scared because you stopped agreeing with limitation. You stopped internalizing rejection. You stopped confusing delay with disqualification. That internal shift rang alarms. And now, heaven is not asking you to fight harder. Heaven is asking you to stand still and watch. Your silence is not weakness. It is bait. It draws the enemy into overexposure. And when they overplay their hand, God steps in publicly. You may have felt unusually tired lately, not physically, but spiritually. Like you've been holding your breath. That's because you're in the pause. The same pause heaven took. This is the inhale before the release. And in this space, your job is to guard your mouth, your energy, and your next move. Do not announce plans prematurely. Do not vent to people who secretly enjoy your confusion. Do not chase what is already being rerouted to you before you click away. Understand this. The breakthrough connected to this prayer is not abstract. It is specific. There is a financial opening tied to a person who once overlooked you. There is a role reversal coming where someone who dismissed you will need your cooperation. There is a message, an email, or a conversation that will arrive suddenly and feel almost anticlimactic, but it will change your trajectory. And it will happen only after you resist the urge to interfere. Let me reward those who are still, listening with deeper clarity. The reason your prayer carried so much weight is because it was forged in private suffering. You cried alone. You processed betrayal without witnesses. You kept showing up when no one checked on you. That built spiritual mass. So when you finally spoke, it wasn't desperation, it was authority. And authority doesn't argue. Authority commands. Right now, there is confusion among those who tried to block you. They sense they miscalculated. They feel exposed. Some are already scrambling to align themselves back to you, not out of repentance, but self-preservation. This is why discernment is critical. Not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Some are only allowed to watch. Remember earlier when I warned you about silence? This is the callback. The same silence that protected you in obscurity will now protect you in elevation. The enemy expects you to celebrate early, to speak too soon, to reveal your hand. Do not let the results speak. Let the receipts answer. Let God defend. There will be another surge of resistance just before the release. A final distraction. A sudden emotional trigger. A memory resurfacing. That is the enemy's last attempt to pull you out of position. When it happens, you'll recognize it because now you see the pattern. When that moment comes, ground yourself, breathe, and remember, if the devil is scared, it's because he already knows he's lost. I am not closing this briefing yet. There is more unfolding. And what comes next depends on how well you hold this line. Stay alert. Stay quiet. Stay aligned. Chosen one. I am continuing because the window is still open and because what is unfolding now cannot be compressed without losing power. The atmosphere around you is not settling yet. It is rearranging. That restlessness you feel, that sense that you're on hold while everything inside you feels ready to run, that is intentional. You are being held back not by denial, but by precision. A sword is not swung while it is still being sharpened. From where I stand, I can see the timeline bending. What you thought would take years is being compressed into moments, but compression requires pressure. This is why the enemy shifted tactics. When intimidation failed, they tried confusion. When confusion failed, they tried emotional exhaustion. They whispered, maybe you misheard God. Maybe nothing is coming. Maybe this is just how life is. That whisper is proof of proximity. They only lie when truth is close enough to threaten them. There is something specific about your situation that separates you from others who hear messages like this. You were not only delayed, you were deliberately misjudged. Your character was questioned in rooms you were never invited into. Decisions about you were made without you present. And instead of defending yourself, you withdrew. That withdrawal was not retreat. It was recalibration. You were being trained to let outcomes speak louder than explanations. Soon, very soon, the same people who spoke about you will ask to speak with you, and the shift in tone will be unmistakable. Need to bring you into another angle now, a pattern interrupt, because heaven is watching how you respond internally. From God's perspective, this season was never about punishment or testing your patience. It was about teaching you how to carry weight. What is coming to you has substance. Influence has gravity. Money has momentum. Visibility has consequences. And you had to be empty of the need for validation before you could be trusted with increase. That's why affirmation was scarce. That's why applause was absent. You were being detoxed from dependence on approval. There is a warning embedded here, and it's not for fear, it's for accuracy. When the breakthrough manifests, it will not arrive with fireworks. It will arrive quietly, efficiently, almost casually. That is how you'll know it's God. The enemy announces. God delivers. Do not miss it because it doesn't look dramatic. Do not delay obedience because it doesn't match the fantasy you endured while waiting. The miracle will wear ordinary clothing, but its impact will be irreversible. You may already be sensing a fork in the road, two options, two directions, two voices. One feels familiar but heavy. The other feels risky but clean. The familiar path is the old cycle trying to reclaim you. The clean path is alignment. Choose what brings peace, not what feeds ego. Choose what expands you quietly, not what gratifies you loudly. This choice is smaller than you expect. but it governs larger doors. Let me tell you something that will make sense later, but not yet fully. There is a name attached to your elevation, a person whose authority or access will unlock something you could never force on your own. They have been watching you from a distance, not closely, but consistently. They noticed how you handled being overlooked. They noticed how you didn't self-destruct when things stalled. They noticed your restraint. And restraint, to those who understand power, is rare. When they move, it will feel sudden to you, but it was slow and deliberate on their end. Another re-engagement moment. Stay with me here, because this is where timelines split. If you rush now, you reset the clock. If you stay grounded, you accelerate it. The enemy knows this, which is why distractions are intensifying. Random conflicts, emotional bait, old habits resurfacing, even nostalgia trying to pull you backward. None of it is accidental. These are exit ramps. Ignore them. You are not meant to revisit what already proved it couldn't hold you. I want you to notice something subtle over the next short stretch of time. People will start revealing their true posture toward you without realizing it. Small comments, jokes that land wrong, passive resistance, or sudden praise that feels hollow. This is discernment sharpening in real time. You don't need to confront any of it. Just observe. Information is being handed to you so you can govern your next level wisely. The protection around you is active now. That's why certain plans others made against you are already collapsing. Conversations are being interrupted. Opportunities meant to bypass you are stalling. Funds meant to exclude you are being rerouted. This is not karma. This is correction. The order is being restored. And restoration always looks unfair to those who benefited from disorder. You may feel an urge to finally relax, to let your guard down completely. Don't, not yet. Peace is coming, but vigilance is still required. This is the final stretch where consistency matters more than intensity. Keep doing what you've been doing. Keep your routine simple. Keep your inner circle small. Keep your focus narrow. Expansion is coming, but consolidation comes first. I'm going to say this plainly. Without metaphor, you are about to be believed. About your abilities. About your intentions. About your worth. And when belief arrives, it brings responsibility. Be ready to forgive without reconciling. Be ready to advance without dragging everyone with you. Be ready to lead without explaining every decision. There will be a moment soon where you realize the waiting is over, not because something external changed, but because you did. You will feel it click. A calm resolve. A grounded confidence. That is the signal. When that settles in your chest, move forward without second-guessing. That is the green light. I am still here. This transmission is not complete. What comes next will require discernment, not hype. Stay connected. Stay listening. The pause is almost finished, but what follows it will echo longer than you expect. Chosen one. This is the closing transmission, and it is delivered with precision because the cycle is sealing now. What you are standing in is the aftershock of a prayer that crossed realms. The devil did not retreat quietly, he retreated wounded. That is why the noise around you spiked. That is why doubt tried one last time to speak in your voice. But listen closely. If you are still here, still breathing, still watching this moment unfold, it is because the assignment on your life outlived the attack. This is where you shift from waiting to witnessing. You are no longer asking if God heard you. You are about to see how He answers. The protection around you is locking in, and certain doors are closing permanently, not as loss, but as mercy. You are being spared from futures that would have drained you. If this resonates, comment, "I see it now," because clarity is your confirmation. There will be a sudden calm after this. Not emptiness. Authority. A grounded stillness where you no longer feel pulled to explain, chase, or prove. That is when movement begins. When peace replaces urgency, provision follows. When your spirit settles, your environment shifts. If you felt that calm creeping in, even for seconds, comment, "I feel the pause. That pause is sacred. Your enemies will not get closure." That is intentional. Vindication does not always come with apologies. Sometimes it comes with access they can no longer touch. When you rise, they will not understand how. They will call it luck, timing, favoritism, but you will know it as alignment. If you're ready to let results speak, comment, "God will answer for me." This final instruction is simple but absolute. Do not look back for validation. The moment you turn forward fully, momentum will meet you. What you carry next requires clean hands and a quiet heart. Stay watchful. Stay thankful. Stay obedient. And when it happens, and it will, you'll remember this moment. If this message named your season, mark it. Declare it. Comment, "Chosen and protected."